Good morning. It's such a lovely day. Good morning. Good morning to you. Okay, what's that from? Oh, my word.
Good morning.
Is it like a preschool song?
Start the day. I don't know. My mom used to sing it. I think it's like,
I think my
it
kids,
feels very 50s-ish.
I think my daughter's preschool teacher used to sing that.
Yeah. I think it's, I don't know. Maybe someone out there knows where that came from.
Okay, but yeah, that came from the depths of memory. Wow. So it's day 27.
These vlogmases are making us a little loopy, I think, Jana.
I know. And full disclosure, we are having to pre-record some of these because, it's Christmas weekend. There's things we're going to do with our families, and that's totally fine.
Yep.
So, but we wanted to keep consistent in the uploads so that, people can have their Christmas breads and tea and watch.
Yeah. Right. Well, and we have our interviews with the people for these days.
Sure.
So we wanted to introduce them and have them come out on the days that they're part of your Advent calendar. or your
countdown,
New Year's countdown calendar.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun to meet everyone.
Yeah. That was cool. That was like, that's how Jana and I spent our November, was interviewing all these folks. It was really fun. And now we just get together and chat in the morning, and that's really fun. So it's been good. Thank you, Jana.
It has been a ton of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do when it's over.
I'm
going to have a little Anna withdrawal. I'll just be messaging.
End up just logging in anyway. Hey, Jana.
We could just log in for 20 minutes.
Great. How's it going?
And check in on how many numbers of rows we are going to do the cabled trellis together. We will have cast on by the time this is aired.
Yes.
And I could show my final decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did settle that as we were.
Yes. So I am going to do fingering weight held double because I have enough. This will be my main color, which will be the cables.
Right.
And that's going to be over this lovely speckly gray. This will be in the background.
Right.
Okay, so this is hazelnuts in artisan.
So that's the opposite of mine.
Right.
Mine's this is the background. I feel like yours, this is the cable.
Mine's darker with some darker tones, and yours is a little more red.
And this one's darker than your gray.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This colorway is called Smolder from hazelnuts.com. And then this one, I have a couple of these. Well, I have 3 of these, I think. And this is from Up North Yarns, hand dyed in the Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Nice.
And this is the colorway is called Market Day. This was an exclusive color from the Sleeping Bear Yarn Club from August of 2020. And it came in my Yarn Club box. And then if you're a member of the Sleeping Bear Yarn Club, you have the opportunity to buy extra skeins of the colorway of that month, which I did because I loved it.
Nice.
So this will be my background. This will be my foreground. And I'm going to hold it double.
I'm trying really hard not to sneeze right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, go for it. Let it out. Let it go.
I think it passed. But if I was making like a weird zoned out face for a moment there, that's why.
I hate that.
I was just like, don't sneeze. Don't. I have my thumb on the mute button and I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it.
My kids always say that I yell when I sneeze. Like I do this, like yell really loud. But then my one daughter, when she sneezes, she does this little sing-song thing. Like, woohoo. But they say I'm a sneeze yeller.
Yeah, my mom was a sneeze yeller, which was the worst in the car. Like it would split your eardrums. I'd be like, lady, come on. You're killing me.
My husband does that. I'm like, when I see he's going to sneeze, I'm like, ah!
Right. So I don't know, because I was trying not to sneeze, but you did mention you have fingering, you're going to hold double.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious to see how that works out.
So we'll have to swatch. We both will have to swatch.
We both have to swatch. We're going to swatch. And today, this will be, like you say, we will have swatched and started our projects by the time we have the next one. But the next one, we're going to have our special guest with Shana. So it might be 2 before we start talking about sharing.
It's okay.
So we'll see.
Because we have things. We have things to do. I have videos to upload for the actual Maya cardigan as well.
We got things to do.
Do what I can.
We're busy women. We're girl bossing all over this place.
Boss knitter.
Boss knitter. We took the kids to Florida last month. Mm-hmm. And Abby was just, my youngest was just all about girl boss, girl boss, girl boss, girl boss. And then she started like taking pictures, like selfies, and she's like, girl boss. And so then I started teasing her and taking them too. And then she was like, no. And then it became a lesson in girl boss photography. I don't know.
Is this a thing?
Girl boss. It's a thing. You're a girl boss, Jana.
Okay. Thanks.
You're rocking this world. Girl bossing it up.
Well, clearly not if I don't even know what it is. Okay.
So I am doing days 3 and 4 today of the Ontario yarn box.
Thank you.
Got it immediately. And I did look it up. So the project that calls for the additional full skein is called the Scrappy Ray pattern. Mm-hmm. And it's a very V shawl, very V type shape shawl. Or like, I think it might end up more like a cowl. It doesn't, I don't know, maybe it's fooling me. Maybe it will be like a full on shawl, but I think it's more of like a pretty sharp V. I'm just making a lot of gestures. Anyway, let's move on.
Acute as opposed to obtuse.
As opposed to obtuse. Thank you.
Our geometrical terms.
Good job.
But nevertheless, we'll put the link down below.
Thank you. So today is day 3. Ooh, another natural shade. And this is called Mostly Mohair from Norbele Sheep, Angora Goats, in in Norwood, Ontario. Again, Angora Goats. That's why it's so soft. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Canadian natural fiber products. So there we go. So this is 60% Norbele wool. Okay. Whoa. So is Norbele a goat? No, it says sheep. I'm sorry. I'm on.
Well, I'm thinking it's a cross between something and Rambouillet.
Sorry. So this is Norbele sheep.
Right.
So that makes it a wool. So I'm focusing myself right now. Okay.
But my question is
60% Norbele wool and 40% mohair. So it does have mohair in it.
Okay.
So it is partly goat, partly sheep.
So my
now
question
I've settled down.
Norbele must be a mix of.
I would think so.
A hybrid of Rambouillet and something.
It's from Norwood, Ontario. Maybe they have. Maybe they have a breed up there that they've. I don't know. We'll have to.
Google.
Another thing to Google. Oh, I got 2 cards.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's one thing. Do you want to do yours and I'll do the other one?
Yeah,
or do you want me to do the second one?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Report. Ooh, alpaca. Sorry, there's strings coming at me from everywhere. So a nice natural brown alpaca. It's got just a slight reddishness to it in person. But there we go. So this is from Lady Slipper Alpacas. Luxurious, natural, and local, high quality alpacas, fiber, and products. There's their thing.
Oh.
Okay, this is 80% alpaca from Thymus and 20% Manx Lohi wool. So we talked about the Manx in the British Yarn Explorers. So
we did.
A little bit of wool, mostly alpaca. It is, I do feel it's important to blend some wool with your alpaca so it doesn't grow on you. So that's quite nice. These are soft ones. I'm just going to sit like this the rest of the time. And you just carry on.
Okay, I'll carry on. So today's my package for the National Parks Countdown is from Marsha at One Geek to Craft Them All.
Yes, she was fun to talk to.
Yep, she's our interview today as well. She makes stitch markers, so
she makes them in sets that are appropriate for various nerds. And I say that in a good way. I loved a lot of what she had.
Oh, that's super cool. Look, it's a set.
It's a whole set.
With a mountain.
Oh, pretty.
Oh, I love that.
That's really cool.
Whoops. Okay.
Can you turn the mountain? There you go. Oh, that's really neat.
And there's the mountain, and then there are 5 of the small
Nice.
Bead ones. And then the nifty thing to keep them together.
Very handy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So it's also like day 2 of the Yarn Stash Destash going on right now. Jana, how did day 1 go?
Okay, well, I am getting there. I still need to gather some more because most everything's already in this area, but I did remember that I do have some things in the little room. There's this little tiny room where I do my actual filming of videos.
Right.
And because that's where I video.
So you have some supplies there, huh?
A few little things, just like you said, the random DPN that just got left back there, or some minis that I was photographing with my lights,
Yeah.
So stuff like that. I need to go and just go do a scan and make sure I got it all.
Yeah. One last thing. And that's going to happen throughout. Like, don't feel bad if you find something, on day 8 or whatever. Just do whatever steps applied to that thing.
Yeah.
And deal with it.
And catch up. Yeah.
And catch up. So day 2, you should have yesterday gathered, as part of your gathering, all of your bags that have projects in them. And today that's what we're going to be dealing with. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up, you're going to do one bag at a time. You're going to open up your bag. You're going to set the project and the directions to the side. You're going to, any notions you have, you're going to make a pile of your notions. You're going to get rid of any trash or anything else that doesn't belong in that bag.
Gum wrappers,
tissues, whatever, receipts.
The random Sour Patch Kid that fell out.
Exactly. And then you're gonna assess the bag itself.
Oh, okay.
So take it over the trash can and give it a good shake. Get all the little things out of it, right?
A little sour sugar.
Is the handle still secure? Are there holes developing? Like, is it still a good project bag? If it's rubbish, if it's on its last legs, let's get rid of it. If it's not a bag you love anymore, you should have a box. If you went to my Instagram, that was part of the longer directions, was to have a box
for
that
donate.
Still has life, but you don't love it. Put it in the donate bin and find another project bag that it can go into. And then today, all you're putting back in the bag is the project and the instructions. That's all.
Okay.
We're going to deal with the notions and all the other stuff tomorrow. That's a different step.
Okay, but here, let me tell you why that makes me a little stressed out, because I do have one project. I have a whip that those Knitter's Pride countdown rings, or the counter.
Right. Yeah.
Numbers.
Yep.
Like that is set for where I left off on that sweater.
Right.
So I don't want to separate that.
Okay. Well, you can put that in.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fine. I won't come to your house and smack you, but we're going to go through.
There's no police here.
There's no, yeah. Tomorrow we're going to deal with everything else that was left in those bags.
Okay.
We're going to deal with those tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. So today we're just taking care of cleaning out the bags.
All right. So people need to follow your Instagram to read your posts and to see what the next steps are. So
yes, I thought I knew how. On Instagram, and the steps they're scheduled to post at 5:45 Eastern time in the morning every day. And someone heard it and reacted like that. That's just so people know, like, oh, it's 9 a.m. and I still haven't seen it. That's just because Instagram didn't show it to you yet. You can click over to my feed and find it. It'll be there for you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the key word was they're scheduled. Like, Anne's not up doing this at 5:45.
No. All the posts, days 1 through 14 are already scheduled.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing them and posting my progress photos and everything.
Right. Yeah. And you got the look from me, because I'm like, oh yeah, that's 3:45 my time.
Yeah. Do it on your schedule. It's okay.
Of course.
But it has to be early too, because I have listeners in the UK and in Germany and whatever. And I don't want them waiting until like 5 p.m. and then having to.
And then maybe they won't do it because it's evening knitting time.
Yeah. And they're tired and work's over. Yeah. So I put it up like early.
That makes sense.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome, Marsha. We're really glad you were able to join us today to pre-record this interview. One Geek to Craft All. That's got to be a reference to the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. is like when I first started making stitch markers, and I was like, well, your business is going to need a name. I went, okay. Well, you're geek. It's true. And it was very much well, what could I name it? There are so many geeky things, like something comic book geeky, something New York themed and geeky. And I was just like, well, how about like, and I think a lot of the first names I came up with, I was like, oh, that's such and such, or that's this, or Google searches, like that domain name is taken. So even if I don't know who it is, it's not available. Right. And then I was like, and then I went, okay, you're a geek. We got that part. What else is going on? And I went, well, my most, like the first thing that got me was when I was, I think, 7, went to the library with my dad, and like every summer he'd just be like, to the library or to the museum. So we would go off, and I was at the library, and he was very much a free reign person. So he wasn't like, oh, you can only go to the children's section. He was just like, if you find a book you like, take the book you like. It's a library. That's what we're here for. And so I read The Hobbit and thought it was the greatest thing to ever book. And then the next visit, I remember picking up Fellowship of the Ring and reading it and losing interest in it, because the second Bilbo left, I was like, who is this Frodo guy? I don't care. By the 4th grade, I had come back around and I had read the series, and until the movies came out, I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy every year. Like I've read the Silmarillion, the Unfinished Tales, the Histories of I've probably read it all. And then when the movies came out, I now do a Black Friday just all day.
Right.
Just let them play through.
Just
every year.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is awesome. So how did you get into making stitch markers?
So I have been beading things since I was a kid. Like, if you were my friend, you probably got a friendship bracelet. You probably got some earrings, and it was kind of the thing that I always enjoyed. So I picked up knitting right after grad school. Like I had crocheted for years, but crochet doesn't really need stitch markers except occasionally. And I didn't tend to do projects in that vein. So I was just knitting, and I was just buying the like little rubber circles or the little plastic safety pins. And I was unimpressed, and I kept losing them. Because they were so small and so dainty, and I'd be like, every time I went to a yarn store, I'd be like, just buy another box of these things. You're just going to lose all of them. And I was like, what if you didn't? And I just like dusted off the old beading supplies and went, you know how to do this. And so I just got some wire pliers. Pretty sure my first set of stitch markers were made with the pliers from like my dad's tool kit for repairing things. Sure. Because I hadn't done any beadwork in so long. I kept the beads, but I didn't have the tools anymore.
Right.
So I did it. And just by coincidence, around the same time that I was like, okay, I'll do this. I'm annoyed. I'll make my own stitch markers. The first New York City yarn crawl happened.
Oh.
And Pearl of Nitty City she had been my local yarn store because it was kind of halfway between my commute to work. I worked in New Jersey at the time and back to Brooklyn. So I could usually get to Nitty City before they closed. And I was making a double knit superhero scarf. So it was just the logos of different superheroes like Superman, Batman, just DC superheroes. And I would go pretty much every week and just get the next 2 colors. Just because I was like making up the pattern as I went along. So I had no idea what I was doing, and B, because it was an excuse to go to the yarn store every week.
Right.
So Pearl asked me to do a talk at that first crawl, and she was like, hey, would you be willing to do a talk about double knitting? And I was like, you do know I taught myself and kind of wung it, right? And she was like, yeah. Yeah,
Great.
we don't want people to think it's scary. So I would love it if you did that. And I was like, sure. And she was like, and if you have anything to sell, bring it. Like as almost an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, what do I have? I guess I can bring the stitch markers I made. I've made a bunch. Like I don't need all of those. And so I came and gave the talk, and like maybe 4 or 5 sets of stitch markers, my entire stock. And so I went, and while I was there, like after the talk, I had just kind of laid them out so you could ask me questions about double knitting. The scarf I had finished by that point. And I remember these 2 ladies had driven up from Philly for the crawl, and so they actually became my first customers. And it's funny because I've run into them at like Vogue Knitting, Rhinebeck, and every time I see them, I'm like, hello. You're going to stick in my head forever. You were literally the first people to purchase anything from me. And then I think I may have already had the Etsy shop open, but around there I started like actually building inventory and making more stitch markers, going on themes and things like that.
So what do you feel like makes your product, your shop, your Etsy store, what makes that unique?
I think it is the combination of everything is, of course, made by me. I'm a very one-woman shop, but I like, I guess, taking my inspiration and making something that, because at the end of the day, I'm using beads, some charms. So I have colors and shapes to invoke something. So it becomes like a challenge for myself to just go, how do I represent that in a charm and a couple of colors? And just kind of working that way and working with people. And it's like, sometimes it's extremely easy. And it's like, well, if I do red, yellow, and blue and dangle an S on the bottom, no one's going to have any doubts about what that is. And then other times it's like someone walks by and goes, is that a fork? Why is there a fork on your stitch marker? Hold on. This is purple and green, and there's a fork and a mermaid. Is that a little and it's, I love getting that reaction. I just
when you see the process, you have to think it through a little.
Yeah. And they're just like, and I was like, yes, here's one with an apple that's acid green. It's like, and a princess crown. And they're like, oh, so this is a thing you do. I'm like, absolutely. If there is a thing you enjoy, there's a good chance I have a set of stitch markers for it.
Nice.
Yeah, you do have a lot. I'm like sort of half scrolling through your Etsy page as we talk to you, and I'm seeing you have so many different, themed sets. Is there a favorite theme or category that you come back to a lot?
I think there is recently, like in the last few years, there has absolutely been a favorite theme, and it is kind of 2 themes in one. So it's Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So I only started playing a few years ago. Like my first ever Dungeons and Dragons game was home built by my roommate at the time. And we played it as a one-shot adventure at Rhinebeck because we were all in the same house. So we could play together and have fun. And she built an adventure with a mystery happening at this festival that people travel all over to go to. And it makes textiles and fibers, and everyone is just like, it's a well-known festival. It's every year. And so after we stopped laughing, we played the game, and I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And she also had recommended a live play Twitch stream called Critical Role, where it's voice actors who play Dungeons and Dragons live, and will be an animated series soon. So
Wow.
Oh, I hadn't heard
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
Okay, cool.
yeah, they had a Kickstarter, and I think they broke all of the Kickstarter records and raised something like $3 million in a
Wow.
day, and
Wow.
close to 20 by the end of the campaign, like
Oh
the
my
Kickstarter
gosh.
campaign. Yeah, so they're going to be on Amazon Amazon Prime as an animated series. So yeah, they're doing really well, and because of that, like I've been inspired to make a lot of like D&D themed and the characters that they play, and I think that is a really good one because they call the fans critters, and it is like a secret language. I'm like, there are so many knitting critters. It's amazing because they'll be the ones to like go through and have that same reaction of, hold on, I see this color scheme. There's an axe, there's a flute, there's a tree. Are these Critical Role stitch? And I'm like, yeah, they are. Do you have a favorite character? Because I have individual sets for each one.
Oh wow.
And it's I
Nice.
think it's that is because I think because it's voice acting and not really imagery, though they do have artistic renderings of their characters, I have a lot of fun with that. And finding a way to make it clear that this is this character while just using colors and usually their weapon of choice.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like,
Nice. Yeah, I'm finding some of them now on the page. Going,
See, Anne has more than one monitor. She can like side eye and scroll. You know.
I also have a daughter who's very into D&D.
So what's coming up? What plans do you have coming up for 2022?
so for 2022, I am hoping actually near the end of December of doing a big shop update and just having, like, I also do project bags and notions pouches, and I have definitely collected a small hoard of fabric that just needs to be utilized.
Right.
So that is one thing I'm going to do. The other big thing that I'm planning on doing is that I did a Halloween box collaboration this year, and I'm going to do it again next year. And I collaborated with DK Graham, and she like is a graphic designer along with also stitch marker maker. She does wood burning and things along those lines. So I'm thinking I would want to do another club with her, and it was the 13 days to Halloween and just counting down into Halloween and having fun doing that. And I ended up, like, in addition to opening the different stitch marker per day, I wore a different sweater every day, because the first day I did an opening, like in the live, someone was like, tell me about your sweater. And I went, of course, I was just cold. But why would I think knitters wouldn't want to know that? Luckily, I actually knew like the pattern and the yarn of the sweater I was wearing in that moment, because there are some like,
well, and now I'm going to
ancient...
say, I'm going to ask you again, because we weren't recording when you told us before. So tell us about the sweater you're wearing.
Sure. So this sweater is Ommegang by Baby Cocktails, and it is in Neighborhood Fiber Company. I believe this colorway is Georgetown.
Okay. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
I love cables.
Sweater.
I love cables.
They're the best. Like, I'm just, I always enjoy cables. Like, I just finished another cabled sweater, and I was like, all right, you have a couple cable sweaters on the needles. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to them. But it's the shiny new.
Yeah.
That I'm like, new project, yay.
Yeah.
That I keep
sure
falling into.
Definitely.
So,
I'll get trapped by that, I think.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Marsha, for taking the time to join us. It's so delightful to meet you.
It's great meeting you guys too. And this was a lot of fun.